Before we get totally into quality location, what I wanted to do is, you'll see later on, we have certain building comps that we're using to compare. And the old expression, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So we hired a professional photographer, a guy named Rick Klingerman, who was recommended to us. He's an architectural photographer. In fact, all the buildings went to these pictures because they liked them so much as we got them do it. But I just thought I'd show you the buildings in image, and where I'm going to show you 3 buildings. We did not do 211 Main Street, unfortunately. We decided just to do these, and I think that they'll suffice, and we could get you pictures of those there. I think everyone knows about the buildings. First one is the Pell development at the corner of 600 Harrison Street. This is where the Miller Freeman tenancy is, and this is the image of the building. This building was built, I think, about 1989 or 1988. It's relatively new systems, no asbestos, parking, and it's in an area where there's several buildings, like 303, the building that Wells occupies over on Folsom, and it's also probably one of the best locations of this particular building here is where the main switch is for all the telephones in San Francisco. Packed bells. And this is a picture of the lobby, just to get a sense of it. This is the main entrance as you look across Harrison Street. This is the interior lobby where you get back to the elevators. As you walk in, there's a guard desk. It's a very attractive building. I think very high-end. I would call this a very good class, probably a Class A building, but I don't want to argue over that today. The next property is the 600 Townsend property, which everyone knows is the corner of 8th. It was purchased about 2 years ago by a syndicate called Zorro. I won't go into that, but it's the first letter of the names of the 4 partners. It was a building that was renovated. It was designed by Portman, and it was going to be a gift center. It was converted into office space, and it is about 75% leased now. Sega and ZTV are the 2 primary tenants. There's a basement that's available. We'll talk about that later. Handsome building, new systems, although it was built as a building to be like a center for various people in the clothing business. Has been renovated. Has a garage on the back, and I think the most significant feature of this building is its atrium. And as you come in off of Townsend's, or off of 8th Street, there's a main atrium. It has about 575,000 square feet of office space. Beautiful entrance up escalators to the main floor where you take elevators up and down. They're actually going to add 2 more elevators to the building. And this is another picture of the entrance. And then our building that we're discussing, subject property, 155 5th. Built, as we know, about 1972. It's a glass curtain wall building, has about 44,000 feet per floor. I have to tell you, particularly, we did take pictures with some of the issues that I think John discussed earlier about the building. In numerous areas, especially to the west of this building, are barbed wire fences. In fact, across the street in this lot, is like serpentine wire across the top. And the interiors are somewhat different than your more standard building, and I want to just point these features out real quickly. Main building lobby, a lot of security. You can't get in that building, as you probably know, when you go there without getting his approval, and it's not easy. Again, another picture from across the street. This is, you'll be able to see these when you review them. This is the pictures of the cable trays that he discussed. Actually, it's sort of light and airy and looks nice, but it still is a issue that if you ever were to gut these floors and have to go back to the development of new space, the cable trays are the current solution. I don't think the next solution would be the same. It's an old 2x4 T-bar system. If you look to the north from the building, this is about the 4th floor. I think the top 2 floors do have views clear over the top of the garage. That's the YBC garage. This is a corridor on the ground floor. It's sort of industrial in look. And I wanted to point out that, as you know, there are 2 floors without windows. On the 1st floor, it's sort of a warehouse, high cube space. Again, there's asbestos. I don't particularly consider this office space. It's a full floor of about 40,000 feet. The south portion of the floor is used by Wells. They do some printing. On the north side is mail, and there's a loading dock. But I just thought you'd get you get an image of these buildings' age and efficiency. Now, let me get a couple. I don't know if these are in the right order, so bear with me. The Yerba Buena district, which is the particular district the subject building is in, and I'm going to cover these pretty quickly. Here's the subject property. We walked the area just to find out the confluence of these are the primary restaurants and retail. We know that there's the San Francisco Center here, the hotels. Everything is sort of in this direction. John mentioned the 6th Street corridor, which I'll get into later. The Yerba Buena Gardens area is a primary emphasis. It's a very exciting part of San Francisco. It is truly a convention, hotel, and retail area. As you know, the new IMAX complex will be developed, or is being developed. We see the district as from 5th to 3rd, from Harrison to Market. And different brokers look at the YBC slightly differently, but I'd say that's the general area. Some CoStar goes over to 6th, and some people go over to New Montgomery and to Hawthorne. But we'll just leave it as what I've described. The features are the convention center, 2 underground facilities, and a new one to be built here. I'll discuss it later. Center for the Arts, which is Center for Arts in a 700-seat theater. The Museum of Modern Art, which is world-class, and I think everyone in the room would admit it's a wonderful feature for the city. The new carousel development, which has just been completed. The Children's Center, the ice rink on top of the original Moscone complex. And certainly, it's also an area that I would say is known for great hotels. Certainly the Marriott, the new Sherwood, it says Argent, it's really the Anna, that was a misprint. There's a Hotel Milano, a little old hotel here called the Pickwick. There's some real bad hotels over here, we won't get into that yet. Nordstrom's, Old Navy store being built here. Bloomingdale's development, which when completed will be about 1,600,000 feet. It'll be a dramatic improvement to the area. Again, retail. The Metron for electronic boutiques is going to be on the base of the IMAX. The IMAX, by the way, is an IMAX-style theater, which I think is sort of a surround major, like a 3D type thing, and then 15 other theaters. And I think the other great feature will be the new Four Seasons Hotel and the Reebok complex and condos. But let me go back a step. I'm a member of the board of the Yerba Buena Alliance, and I'd like to tell you about what I see, what I've seen happen in the area. And I think this is, again, a pretty dramatic shift of what was going to be done and what is being done. 1990 to 93, Clint and I worked diligently to try to lease or pre-lease in a very difficult market the IM Pay design 475,000 Griffin-related properties proposed project. It's at the corner of 3rd and Mission. The same time, Olympia and York had control with the city and paid them ultimately about $37 million, which they walked away from. This was going to be a Caesar Pelli designed office building of 750,000 feet. Griffin-related was 475,000 feet. And the O&Y also had options on these two sites, both for office buildings. Also, 154th existed, and it was originally called the United Airlines building, about 325,000 feet. We sold it to JMB Realty. Today, it's a little different. And believe me, this impacts 155 in many, many ways. It's completely changed. This is now going to be a mixed-use, Four Seasons Hotel, Reebok Sports Center, and residential, roughly the same size. Griffin Related is now called Related of California, and that's going to be a 450 to 500 unit residential unit. This site, which was going to be an office building, is now the Starwood Hotel, will open this year, and this is proposed as residential condominiums, and 154th will be demolished. I see this as an overall loss of 2.45 million square feet of office development, which to me puts 155 in a standalone position as a major building with no neighbors of similar type. And I mean, that is going to be a very major change to this area, which is going to be more reinforced by hotel and convention use. Now, what's going to happen and adjacent to our building? Maybe you've seen these and they're really exciting. This is the site, the front half of this site is where 154th Street currently sits, 325,000 feet. This is a photograph of the architectural model taken last week at Gensler. There's a joint venture between Gensler and Willis as architects. And this is an 800,000 square foot facility that will start construction this year. The subject building is at the back. This is only 3 floors high. Each floor is 36 feet, slab to slab. There's an 11-foot beam that spans the site so there can be clear span. So it's the first of the Moscone buildings where they can have conventions above grade. The entrance is on, as you would think, the 4th Street side. The core is at the back. What does that mean? Let me show you further. These are more architectural photographs of the same acid impacts. Let me point out first this one. This would be looking sort of northeast over the site. This is the subject building, 7 stories. This is 8 stories. But I want to point out one thing. They're building this to the property line. It is a solid wall on the rear of that building. If you could change it, it would be great for you and it would be great for your building, but I don't know if you can. They'd have to move it in off the site, or they'd have to put wire glass in the windows to allow windows to be on the back, but because it's core, I don't think it makes any sense. So about 30 feet, which is the distance across that street, on now this wall is a solid wall. So your windows look into that wall like there. And the garage, as I told you earlier from other pictures, is on the north wall. And I think light and air is one of the most important factors in a building, having a view in different sides. The other 2 buildings, both 600 and 650, have windows on all 4 sides and have good light and air, and I think that's an important consideration. Now, I want to show you another map that I did. I've already discussed how this residential is going to occur, and this is the proposed new Gensler design convention facility in your building. You'll note that there are 2 areas that are in yellow, one darker and one lighter. I met with the owner of a hotel on 7th Street who was part of the it's a redevelopment district. But let me go, I want to just discuss that again, I'll come back to that. To the south of the building, there are no office developments. You've got the Burlington Coat Factory. I've discussed what's east. To the west is a blighted area, and to the north is good development. The 6th Street corridor is a concern. John mentioned it. It's 1 block distance. It's a very crime area, and the statistics are, which you'll get next week. For these blocks, last year, there were 1,768 reported crimes. You'll get the actual report that was given to me. The police department didn't have time to give me this, but they said that this area is double this area. So there'd be about 800 reported crimes in this area. To me, that affects this building. If I'm a tenant moving out and I would take them and show them the 3 properties, let's say, that we've shown you pictures of, I think as a broker you have an obligation to tell them about what are the areas, and if nothing else, they're going to drive over here. It's very difficult for people to come across the site from this direction. So your access is this way, or this way. And remember, you're going to have, for the next 4 years, this will be finished in 2003. A quote out of the Redevelopment Agency draft report dated February 16th, and it relates to this district. It says, the prevalence of blighted conditions seem to exist mainly in that portion of the redevelopment project north of Folsom, this direction, bounded by 5th and 7th, northward to Stevenson, up here, okay? So it gives you this area. Primary emphasis to the west. Existing conditions of blight include deteriorated buildings, unreinforced masonry buildings, health code violations, inadequate public improvements, adult-oriented uses, stagnant property values, abnormally low commercial office and industrial lease rates, abnormally low housing rental rates, underutilized properties, overcrowding, and crime. My conclusion, the 155 Fifth Street is going to be seriously impacted by the expansion. Office development has gone away. It's a standalone building. It's sort of like the back door into Yerba Buena. And the air and light in this building is dramatically impacted. I think this building should be considered a lesser quality than the others. Clint? Oh, for your, just real quickly, we had the photographer take some pictures on 6th Street. You can look at these at your leisure anytime you want to see them.